Hey, this is Matt once again. We're back to another video, and this is a paid request for CA. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any type of videos, movie reviews, re-reviews, random thoughts, streams, commentaries, tier lists, rankings, video game playthroughs, whatever the case may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal. Do have a CashApp as well. The links are down below in the info box. I will get to it as soon as I possibly can. And for those who sent them, thank you. I do appreciate it. And this is for Harry Brown, a 2009 film that I had heard about for a while, just never really got around to seeing it. But Harry Brown, it's a very typical story. It's your typical vigilante story, much like Death Wish or a number of other films. Only this has an aging Michael Caine, who he's collecting his pension. He's a former Royal Marine. It takes place in the UK, and he sees that his neighborhood is not in the best circumstances. He has a dying wife who he visits at the hospital from time to time. He has really one other friend in the world, this guy named Glen, who is worried about the people out there, the hooligans and young hoodlums that are beating people up, wrecking stuff, doing terrible things here and there. And then you pretty much know where it's going to go after that. But I will say I did like it. I liked it because Michael Caine does a really good job. He gives a very solid performance as a guy who has a lot of variety of emotions play off his face. And it was nice to see Michael Caine in this kind of role, because I think even in 2009 he was known more for being either in dramas, or he'd be like the supporting role in, say, the Christopher Nolan Batman films, etc. So to get the star in this kind of a darker, a little bit more violent type of movie, which he started some of those back in the day, like he was in the original Get Carter and stuff, which I actually prefer the Stallone version more, which also had Michael Caine in it. But I didn't know a whole lot in his later years. So, but I thought this was nice because it was just a good showing for him. To show that, hey, I'm still here and really good actor. I think now he's retired, although I guess he's coming out of retirement for The Last Witch Hunter 2, but I know that's because he's good friends with Vin Diesel. Apparently they got along very well together. When I guess, I can't remember the first one, but I think Michael Caine was in the first one. But anyway, there's a little bit of moments of violence, little shootouts, nothing too crazy or anything. And again, for me, like I said, it wasn't anything that original, it wasn't anything that unique, but it has purpose. It served its purpose. It served its purpose and did it pretty decently well. I did like the very beginning where you see the POV of this camera where these hoodlums are riding around and they're shooting by a woman who has a baby carriage, and they wound. I don't know if they killed her, but they shot her accidentally. They make a run for it, and then they get hit by a vehicle, a truck. And it's all done from the point of view of the camera, so you see it spin, and the pieces of the motorcycle, whatever they're on, settle on the road. I thought that was a decent way to open up your film. I mean, Michael Caine, you definitely feel sorry for him because of what's going on, and whether he's playing chess with his friend Lynn or seeing his wife who's dying at the hospital. And I guess starting spoilers, because I'm not sure how to go for it without spoilers, so sorry. Spoilers starting now. One day he gets a call that his wife doesn't have lawn. he wants to take this shortcut, but hoodlums are there, so he takes the long way around, but he gets there too late, and his wife has passed. And the raw emotion and pain in his face really gut-wrenching. You really feel sorry for him. And then when he sees his friend tells about how these hoodlums are picking on him, messing with him, putting stuff on fire in front of his place. And he's got this like knife bayonet, and Michael Caine's like, no, don't do that, just go to the cops. He's like, I already did go to the cops. Well, eventually, sometime later, his friend is found dead. And these two cops, one of them is Emily Mortimer. They go to see him because, hey, we heard you're his friend. When was the last time you saw him? And then, again, Michael Caine, when they leave, Michael Caine breaks down and crying for his friend. Again, you really do feel for the character. And then he just drunk at the bar and he's going home, and this guy pulls a knife on him, and he kind of looks at him and takes the guy's knife and stabs the guy with it. Now, it's not, when I say Death Wish, it's not like even the big body count of the Death Wish films. It's not like he goes around shooting, 10, 20 people. There's really only a handful of people that he ends up killing, I would say, including that guy. Well, technically, maybe technically 6 people, 6 or 7. So there's nothing, huge in body count or anything, but I think it depends also like how you feel about this genre, which I'm a sucker for the vigilante genre for a lot of reasons. Some I don't want to go in depth on my own personal beliefs on vigilanteism, but you're growing with those kind of films. Death Wish 3 being my favorite of Death Wish films. Dirty Hero was a cop, but at times slow, almost that edge of vigilanteism approaching it. Even, Man on Fire with Denzel Washington, a few other films. I don't love all of them. The Brave One with Jodie Foster, could not get into. Peppermint, could not get into. Do like The Punisher with Dolph Lundgren. Love The Punisher with Thomas Jane. Punisher Warzone, I'll have to give a watch idea one day. But Death Sentence, there's parts of that film I liked. I just think it doesn't know what it wants to be. It wants to be a very big anti-violence message, but then when it shows the violent scenes, they have this stylistic approach where it looks cool. So I'm like, okay, it's like you want to have your cake and eat it too. You want the vigilante like action scenes to look cool with vibrant camera angles and movements and heavy hidden violence. So it gets that visceral reaction for the audience, but at the same time, you're saying, no, vigilanteism isn't good because this leads to almost everyone he knows dying. And it just, it wants to be this, but it wants to be this, and it wants to be both. And to me, it's hard to be both. But that's one other thing with Death Sentence. This one is just more of it no one wants to be, and there you go. But I will say, like, it goes at a good, fast pace. It wasn't boring at all. It sets up a story simple enough, but concise enough. And then when it gets going, kind of goes from there. It doesn't really slow down. He cleans up his stuff. He gets visited by that female cop again. And he's like, well, after the cops give this lengthy interrogation to these hoodlums who are talking shit to the police, then when Emily Mortimer goes see Michael Caine, he's like, he went to you guys and you guys did nothing. He's a bit pissed at them. He goes to buy a gun from these dealers, finds out that they're making this like adult film with this drugged up woman. Michael Caine plays it cool until he finally gets the gun and shoots them. Shoots one, wounds the other, fouls him. shoots him. But at least with each of these, there's some nice little moments that it's weird to describe it because it may not seem much to the people watching this review, but sometimes it's the little moments that count. For example, when he shoots the one guy, I like the way the shot is. Imagine the guy's here and there's a TV behind, so when he shoots the guy, it goes right into the TV as well. And something about that sells the illusion of, oh, the guy got shot because you see this TV shatter at the same time. There's something about that nice little detail. When he finds the other guy in this place where they're growing marijuana, the guy's been wounded in the gut, and Michael Caine tells a story about his time in the service and how he saw another guy who got shot in the gut and how long it took and all this other stuff. And Michael Caine plays it fairly well. Then he finds one of the hoodlums where I guess he is kind of forced to give this other guy head, which we don't see the details, but we get the gist of it. And when it's all said and done, the guy using the other guy, boom, gets shot right through the window of the car, right in the head. And then he whips and beats the shit out of this guy to get information, finds this footage on this phone, uses him to get the other bad guys out by put them on like a leash or something. So get him far enough in this little... Actually, it's the shortcut they couldn't take before to see his wife. Holds it there so he can still be in the dark, but the guy is still out there. One of them tries to shoot. Michael Caine shoots him, and then the guy actually shoots his buddy. So they both go down. And then the last guy, Noel, the kind of the main guy of the group, runs off. But Michael Caine can't keep up because of his emphysema. And eventually he gets in the hospital. The cops try to make a raid at the place Michael Caine and the group are at. There's a little bit of a riot. Some of the cops, including Emily Mortimer, they fucked up in their car. Michael Caine helps them to this pub that's run by Liam Cunningham, who's the main human bad guy in Dog Soldiers. That's where I remember him the most from. And then she tells Michael Caine that guy is the uncle of the guy you're looking for. Now, granted, I'm sure that comes off as more of a big twist, but we didn't know much about Liam Cunningham's character to begin with. There's maybe 2 or so times that we saw, 2 or 3 times, maybe like the times he played chess with his buddy and then when Michael Caine got drunk, but this guy played by Liam Cunningham was not that major of a character. If this was a character we saw repeatedly throughout the film, then maybe that twist would have some kind of impact on it, but I'm like, we barely know who the fuck this guy is, so okay. I can't really feel Michael Caine's betrayal of it's you, because like I don't know who this guy is, or I barely know who the fuck this guy is, so I don't know. But eventually some stuff happens where Michael Caine is beaten up a bit. The one Noel guy's choking the lady cop. Michael Caine shoots Noel in the neck, kills him. Liam Cunningham wounds Harry Brown, but because the cop before had called for help, Michael Caine sees that there's sniper, lasers on the chest, and gets Liam Cunningham to aim the weapon at him so that the snipers shoot that guy. And then I thought this was kind of abrupt cut where it cuts to either the cop getting the medal for her service, and then you see everything's cleaned up, and then there's Michael Caine kind of standing there, and he's walking in the underpass in the shortcut with no care in the world. And what I mean by that is that there's no will the cop let Michael Caine go? Will the cop tell people who he really is? Because by this point she kind of figures who he is and what he was doing. So you think maybe there'd be some scene in the hospital, or her visiting him and her contemplating whether she should tell her boss or not. And granted, she told her boss before, and he didn't believe her, but at the same time, now she's... Well, I guess she doesn't really have any witnesses, but... I thought there'd be like at least one more scene between him and the female cop, but there wasn't. So I don't know if that's a scene that was missing, or they just didn't feel the need to put it in there. Basically, it's pretty to the point. It doesn't muddy the waters. There's not tons of subplots that oil the water, so to speak. Michael Caine kills a few people. Some of them look pretty decent, gunshot-wise. It doesn't really get too unrealistic, where Michael Caine's doing all this crazy stuff that he couldn't do in his old age. Interesting choice that the end credits have no music. At least the version I watched, it didn't. Because the version I watched, I'm like, oh, there's no music to the end credits? I don't know. Unless my version of the film was screwed up. But if not, that was an interesting choice. But it didn't overcomplicate things. Sometimes you just want to see an actor, do his thing. Simple, mostly concise story, and there you go. Doesn't rewrite the book. It's not hugely original. But again, if you like vigilante films, if you like Michael Caine, it's at least worth a shot. And I liked it for what it was. So, I did like it. With that said, thanks for watching. Take care. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye for now.